What's up, everybody? Ben Rasa and Greg Ehrenberg here for Awesemo Odds, and we are back talking more Thursday night football. We've got the Steelers, we've got the Vikings, we've got two teams that are desperately trying to cling to relevance, Greg, but honestly, a pretty interesting game, all things considered. Now, we don't have all the injury news, but I always like to ask you before we dive into our favorite bets. Initial thoughts on the game. What are you waiting to see? What do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah, so Dalvin Cook is uncertain if he's going to play. As of last week, it looked like he was going to be out for an extended period of time, but then he all of a sudden returned to practice for the Vikings on Tuesday. Limited practice. He didn't get in a full practice, but that does seem to make it at least a possibility that he's going to play on Thursday. Now, that's going to matter for fantasy. It's going to matter for betting. Although for real life, Alexander Mattison, Dalvin Cook, I guess a lot of people would consider this a hot take. Not a massive difference between the two for me. And I know that we talk about the running back position, how much it matters or doesn't matter. But Dalvin Cook versus Alexander Mattison, when Alexander Mattison starts, he puts up kind of the same numbers that Dalvin Cook did. We saw that from last week. And then even if you're just watching the game as a viewer, when Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison are both playing, I never have any clue which one it is that just ran the football when watching the game. It's like, who am I rooting for? Is that Dalvin Cook who scored a touchdown? Was it Alexander Mattison? There's always a little bit of a delay, but at least for prop bets and for fantasy purposes, it's certainly going to matter from that perspective, whether Dalvin Cook or Alexander Mattison starts. But I don't expect whoever starts. I wouldn't have a significant different projection on Dalvin Cook than I would compared to Alexander Mattison if he's the starter.
Yeah, if Madison is alone in that backfield, I do like the over. We don't have a number, but I have a feeling I'm going to go over. Pittsburgh's been gashed on the ground lately. Stay tuned. Leading up till Sunday, we will have content on that. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are a new user here, welcome. And also, link is in the description with our friends at BetMGM. New user there, deposit $10 or more, and you're going to get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 and 3 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Platinum covers you for all sports, for betting and DFS, all the tools, all the projections, everything that me, Greg, and the whole team use. So it's a really good deal here that BetMGM is offering, but you got to use the link in the description of this video. I'm going to get things started. I'm going right to the game itself. Vikings are at home. They're a 3-point favorite. I can find minus 110. I'm going to take it. I respect the Steelers. It was a life support situation for them. They fought through it. Ravens went for 2. They lost. So the Steelers, impressive win. That was at home. I am a little concerned, though, about this team in general. Obviously, Big Ben, we can all see he's not the same. The offense has struggled. But the defense, I mentioned that their rushing yards, they're giving up 4.8 yards per rushing attempt. Dead last in the league. The passing defense isn't that much better. Middle of the road. I really don't think that this team is the elite defense that we once saw. Now, Minnesota, they just lost to the Lions, so I understand that's not good. But at the same time, that's just Minnesota. They could have beat the Cardinals earlier in the year. They lose to the Lions on the road. They still got the Alphas on the outside. We'll see who's there, who's not. But as long as Cousins and Jefferson and someone is in that backfield, back at home, I think they're just simply a better offense, and defensively, they can hold up. So I'm going to take the 3. I have a feeling we could see 3.5s by Sunday.
Yeah, and considering the game script that you're going with there's something that I'm going to kind of be not exactly agreeing with, but kind of some of the same reasoning. Najee Harris for under 72.5 rushing yards. He's going to be involved in the Steelers' game plan, but it doesn't necessarily have to be running the football. It could also be catching the football. He's been massively involved in the passing game so far this year. The Steelers' run game sucks. They still insist on giving the ball to Najee Harris. He's carried the ball 217 times this year. But Ben, he's averaging 3.6 yards per carry in those touches. So even though he's regularly getting the ball 20-plus times on the ground, it doesn't mean that he's getting massive rushing yard totals. He's actually only been over 72.5 rushing yards 4 times the entire season in recent games. Last week, he was close, 71 rushing yards against the Ravens, but then before that, 23 against the Bengals, 39 against the Chargers. A game against the Lions, which went to overtime, he went for over 100 the week before that, 62 against the Bears. So I think we have to look at this. He's massively inefficient on the ground. So even if the Steelers are ahead, it's no lock that he gets to that number. But if they're behind, there's almost no chance because they're going to be throwing him the football. So I like Najee Harris under 72.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I'm just going to add in a little more to that. You just mentioned he's wildly inefficient. Volume can get him there, but it's not volume and losses. Against Cincinnati, they were crushed. He had 8 carries. Lost to the Chargers, 12 carries. Then you got to go back. When they lost to Green Bay, 15 carries. Lost to Cincinnati, 14 carries. Lost to Vegas, 10 carries. All these 25 carry games is when they win. So if Minnesota wins the game or is winning throughout, Najee's going to turn some of those carries into targets. You're not going to get the volume, and that's going to force him to be like, he's going to need to average like 5 yards a carry, and he's done that virtually at no point this entire season. Yeah, well, it's just not happening. It's not his fault.
He's been over 4 yards per carry once the entire season. It was a game against Denver with 23 carries for 122 yards. Every other game, you're looking generally at like 3.5. Sometimes as low as like 2.5 yards per carry for Najee Harris.
Yeah. It's not his fault. It's the offensive line, but that's just the reality of the situation. My last pick before we bounce on out of here, I'm going to go to Kirk Cousins. And say what you want about Kirk Cousins. He's still a guy that throws the ball a good amount, pretty effective, 247.5. I honestly thought this would be higher. And looking around, this is one of the props. Again, it speaks to Odd Shopper and why it's so important. I went over there, and not only do we lean over, there's 254s out there. There's 251s out there. 247.5. That's 7 yards some places of difference. That's very, very important. And I just look at Kirk Cousins. Yes, I do think they're going to win, and Madison's going to be very effective. But this is still a guy that virtually in every game script, he's throwing the ball 30-plus times. He's done that in every game except one this year. That's a pretty healthy amount of targets for these receivers. And I do think, again, that Pittsburgh's defense has shown they can be exploited through the air. They can be exploited on the ground. No weather concerns. It's not going to be a Buffalo situation. Thank God they've got a roof above their head in Minnesota. I just look at Jefferson on the outside and some of these other guys. To me, Kirk Cousins should throw enough to be able to push over a number like this. Again, I'm trying to capture closing line value. I think that 247.5 will be gone by Sunday. Going to lock that in now and hopefully create that value.
Yep, makes a whole lot of sense to me. And this is a game that hopefully we get a good primetime game. The NFL has been on a bit of a cold streak with having good primetime. I mean, maybe some people enjoyed that Buffalo.
Did you?
No, I thought that was total crap. Just watching the Patriots run the ball every single time. I didn't find it to be particularly exciting. I know it came down to the wire, but the rest of the game I thought was relatively unwatchable. Maybe this will be the one where the NFL breaks out and gives us an exciting, maybe like 30-27 game or something.
Yeah, here's the hope. And it's been a little rough lately. But again, stay tuned for updates on guys like Allison and Madison. And again, follow, subscribe, support us, and drop in the comments if you've got a prop that we should be looking at. We still have some time before Thursday and this game kicking off. So good luck, friends. Enjoy the game Thursday, and we'll see you back here at Awesemo Odds for more content from me and Greg. Take care.